Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Edit with Me. I am Kelly, your editor today, and we are going to be taking this super sweet image of this adorable little baby on the beach from raw to ready. So, we're also going to be discussing the trait of goodness. Grab a cup of coffee, watch the intro, and let's get started with our show. I'm so glad you're here. Alrighty, everybody. If this is your first time to our channel, welcome back. I am so excited you're here. I release content weekly, sometimes more than that. And we discuss things that are important to your business, to your life, to your relationships, and most importantly, to you as an artist and creator and photographer. So today we're going to be processing this image of one of my super sweet clients. Again, I have been with him since he was born. That's how I met his parents. He's been in front of my lens quite a few times. He's one of my little baby muses. So we are going to be talking about processing this image and tackling the concept of goodness. So I want you to, before we get into that heavy topic, I want you to do me a favor. We're going to play a little game. Before we even begin this edit process, I want you to study the image in front of you. I want you to tell me, you can say it out to the screen or not, it's up to you, but I want you to tell me 3 things you would do to improve this image. Not 3 things I would do to improve this image, but look at it with your artist, your creator's eye. What are 3 things you would do to create or to improve on this image? We're going to start busting through that blank page feeling and fear of editing for you, okay? So I will stop talking for 3 seconds, study it, and let me know. Okay, I'm going to tell you what I see here, things I want to improve upon, right? It's a great image out of camera. It is slightly underexposed, and I do that for a reason. I do that because once we start processing, you'll be able to see that I can bring the detail back in my sky. I haven't blown out any highlights here, okay? So that's why when I'm shooting on the beach, especially at sunset, I am going to underexpose on purpose. There's 2 reasons. A, you don't lose the highlights like I showed you just here. And B, it gives you a much more vibrant color when you can increase the exposure on your subject and the colors stay more true to life in my own experience. So I'm going to work on that. I would like to increase vibrancy here, and I would like to play up in this grass and make it feel really dreamy and breezy and beautiful. Okay, so those are going to be my 3 main things for processing this image. I know, especially if you're a new photographer, I know that looking at an image in its raw form is scary. You might be embarrassed. You might have all of these things running through your head. Oh, why didn't I fix this guy? Oh, I don't like that expression. Oh my gosh, their fingers out of focus. We tend to be so negative to ourselves, dear friend. And I want to start gradually erasing the fear of the raw to you. Because just like a lump of clay, no one looks at that lump of clay and goes, oh man, I'm a great sculptor. Right? We look at what comes from the clay in your hands. Well, processing an image is exactly the same way. No one's going to look at your raw and go, oh, what a great photographer. But what they are going to do is look at your finished image, and that is where your talent and your abilities will shine. Now, I'm not saying you need to completely change your images so there's something that they're not. No. I'm talking about taking exactly what was there, capturing it with your lens and increasing it by 20-25%, okay? I'm not going to turn you into some magical fantasy fine art editor, which those are great things. I want you to create a style that is true to you, okay? So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to be editing with no presets today. I know a lot of you are asking about that, and it is very important to me that you get the confidence to be creating with your own editing, that you understand your panels, you understand lighting and color enough that you can edit without any reliance on any presets that you may have and get your own sense of style, okay? So today I'm going to be helping you out with that. I am going to be editing in Lightroom CC, as most of you know if you've been here before. I begin all the way down at the bottom of my panel, and I'm going to kind of tell you what I'm going to do here really quickly, and then I'm going to jump into the episode to the topic of goodness today, okay? So when I begin editing, I always go all the way down and I make what I call my mass adjustments, which is the things that you don't notice but affect the quality of your image. So that's removing chromatic aberration, messing with the sharpening here. My sweet spot I found is between 80 and 90. I mean, it depends on the image. And I also push up my noise reduction quite a bit because I like creamy images. Some people love the grain and the noise, and I don't necessarily. Now, there are some times I will vary from that, but usually I don't. I'm going to play here in the texture, pull down clarity a little bit. And this will all vary based on what you like and the branding that you have for your clients, okay? So your edits don't need to look like mine. Okay, now we're going to come up here and I'm going to play in the color and the exposure and all of that while I'm discussing goodness. Goodness, I think, is one of those things that a lot of people get very confused. And if I have to be completely honest with you, I find myself slightly confused about the actual meaning of it as well. And I knew that that would be an issue for all of us while we were talking about it. So in order to have a helpful discussion, we need to arrive at a place of commonality. So I looked up the definition of goodness, and I'm going to read it for you now. Goodness is the quality of being morally good or virtuous, as in a belief in the basic goodness of mankind. It's also the beneficial or nourishing element found in food. Now, I know that there is a danger in our society right now about being morally good or superior, right? I get that. An example of goodness, however, is not touting your amazingness on Facebook, friends. It is serving at a soup kitchen. It is quietly noticing that mom in front of you in line is struggling and giving her the grace and patience, not getting frustrated. It is the things that we do for humanity that increase A, our view of it, and B, other people's view of it, okay? It's having a sense of moral compass. It's having the understanding that just because someone disagrees with you does not make them a bad person, but it's you knowing what is good and what isn't, okay? I feel like in this kind of topsy-turvy world that we are forced into lately with probably the beginning of like our parents' generation maybe, I feel like our society is losing its way in what they understand about moral, what's the word I'm looking for? You guys are probably shouting it at the screen, but in terms of a moral compass is what I'm trying to say, okay? I feel like we have missed out on developing a strong moral, basically a compass of what's right and wrong. And I feel like it's because so many times in our lives, we are told that we have to respect everyone else's opinion and don't judge anybody and all of that stuff, okay? And I'm not saying that those are not wonderful things that we as a society should be focusing on. I'm not. I think acceptance and inclusion is a wonderful thing. However, you need to have your own understanding of what is right and wrong before you can speak on or tell other people your beliefs. I mean, we can arrive there, right? That seems pretty reasonable. You need to have, in your business especially, what you're willing to do for your clients and what you aren't willing to do for your clients, what is good and what isn't good. You need to have those things clearly defined for yourself in order to navigate this world of business. Now, as with many things that I say, there is a small disclaimer here because your example of what, my mouse froze. Your example of what is good may not be the same as mine. And that's perfectly okay. We're different people. It's okay to disagree and to have different definitions for things, right? I'm totally fine with all of that. But what I want to caution you, my friend, is not to let yourself be rudderless in the storm of indecision and in trying to please everyone, okay? It's very easy once you start going down that slope of trying to make every single person happy or every single person fall in love with you or every single person go, yeah, she gets it, right? It's very easy to come upon this thing called moral relativism, where you're just, one thing's as good as the next, and you don't want to ever put your foot down because you don't ever want to hurt someone's feelings or anything like that. And to me, it ends up like you're being a rudderless ship being tossed by a storm, basically, right? It's that old adage, if you don't stand for anything, you're going to fall for everything. Well, it is quite true. And I'm not telling you what to believe or how to believe it, but I'm saying you need to have your convictions, okay? You need to know for yourself and for your family and for your business what is good and what is not good. Like I said, ours are going to look completely different from each other, and that's perfectly okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to take a pause right here before I start with my question for you, and I'm going to kind of chat about what I did here. I just brought back that sky. I brought back the definition. I didn't go too far because I don't want to get any banding or anything like that here with my sun. I added a linear gradient to bring out the blue in the sky, and then I added a little bit of a linear gradient in here to work on the greens, okay? Now, I'm going to bring this into Photoshop because I want to get rid of this sign. I want to get rid of the little scratch on his cheek, and I want to polish this image. So I'm going to do that. And while we're waiting on that, I am going to ask you a question, okay? So when we're discussing goodness, morally good, something to be virtuous and nutritious, as in an example. And I actually like that definition more. I like the definition of the nutritious or flavorful part of something. That's by Merriam-Webster. And it's so interesting because when we show goodness and when we have an example of goodness in ourselves, that is like your food having goodness, right? Imagine if you got this apple. Okay, this apple is beautiful. It's shiny and waxy and green, and it's going to be crisp and delicious. You bite into it, and there's no nutritional value. There's no goodness. It tastes like mealworms in your mouth. It's got not a great flavor. It's not sweet. It's not sour. It's nothing. Okay. Oftentimes, in our world of social media, that becomes what we see of people. We see the lip service. We see the virtue signaling. We see the desperate need to, sorry, I'm just clone stamping this little scratch on his cheek. You guys can kind of follow along with me with that. We see this desperate need to mean something. And it seems like every single person in the whole universe is screaming and yelling for our attention. Oops, that was not right. You see that little mess that it made? I'm going to try the healing on that. Every single person is screaming out for our attention. They want to prove how good they are. Okay, so I'm sorry. Before I continue on my conversation, I need to undo this and do it properly. So what I'm going to do is I am going to zoom in on this image. Do you see that drool bubble and this little one on his chest? It's proving to be very difficult for me to remove. So I'm going to, and because it's such a small area, I don't necessarily want to lasso it. There we go, there we go, there we go. Ah, so much better. Okay, so that's a little tip for you. If you did not know that, you can zoom in by pushing Control plus or minus on your image. All right, that's much better. Anyway, so what I was going to say is it feels like in this world, so many people are yelling for you to see how good they are. Like it matters what other people think of you, right? And the reason we're talking about goodness today, especially in your business, is you want to be true to yourself and what you believe is right, right? Okay, now here's a perfect example of when that lasso does not work. And sometimes that happens, which is why you need to be comfortable and confident to be able to do your own here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sample from this area and I'm going to clone stamp instead. Okay. Because it's not always going to work out exactly how you want it to. So you need to be confident enough in your editing to know how to fix that if it goes wrong. Okay, so I'm just going to clone stamp in here, and I can already tell I'm going to have some trouble with the grass because you see this broken blade of grass right there. I'm going to go back in and I'm going to heal that. Okay. And let's see if it'll actually heal. We might have to do a little bit of surgery on that part. Yep. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to clone stamp it and connect the two things together. Anyway, so back to that. It's not a matter of what society thinks is right or wrong. It's a matter of what is right or wrong for you, my friend. Okay. Society is going to tell you a whole bunch of different things, no matter what circle you run in. Okay. It's up to you to determine for yourself what is right and what is wrong. There are many people that can help you determine that. You know, there's some amazing philosophers and historians and all of that on YouTube. I mean, we are so lucky to have resources that point us to goodness and point us to what the pure definition of goodness would be, right? So we're so lucky to have that in our world. Our parents didn't have that. Our grandparents didn't have access to that kind of stuff, right? So it's very important that you do your research, educate yourself in what is nutritious and beneficial in yourself and in your heart. I am going to ask you a question, and this is important to me. I'm going to ask you, why do we need goodness to be a solid person? Why? Why do we need that? What's your opinion? As you're thinking on that, I'm going to bring this back into Lightroom. I'm going to save it and then export it back out. So to me, to me, the reason we need it is because being good means that you'll be courageous and brave. You'll be able to stand up in social rejection. You'll be able to stand up to society, maybe in the face of danger or of pain. It gives you the ability to speak truth and power and to stand up for what is right. Instead of just allowing yourself to be tossed, it helps you assess risk, assess healthy behavior. It helps you to be a good person. It helps you to be successful in life and to make solid decisions for your business, for your family, for yourself, whatever the case may be, sweet friend. And that's why this is so important in the first place, okay? It's not that I want to create a world of minions where everyone thinks the same thing as Kelly does. No, that is not it at all. At all. I want you to have what's right for you and your business and your family and your heart, not what's right for me or what fits for me. Now, I'm going to take a pause really quickly and explain why I did that. I applied a radial filter with it off. I'll slide this over. You can see the baby's skin tone is slightly too yellow, and I don't want that. I want what's true to life. So I'm going to raise my magenta and pull down my warmth just a little bit and add like the tiniest touch of exposure back into him and pull down the shadows a little because I don't want him to feel too warm. He's not a jaundicey baby. I want his skin tone to be rosy. Okay. All right. So my friend, I am done with this image. I'm almost done with our chat, but I want to show you the before from how far we've come to the after. So give my computer just a second to get its affairs in order. Oh my goodness. There we go. There's the original. So there's the before, the raw, and here's the ready. Simple changes, easy changes, done and dusted. I want you to examine your heart, my sweet friend, and I want you to ask yourself what your definition of goodness is. What makes you morally good? What makes you nutritious? What makes you add value to humanity? What is it about you that adds the flavor in the world? I mean, I know that's kind of strange, but the whole point is we want to impact this world for good, right? I think most of our goals is that. And sometimes we get lost, and that's okay. But as creators especially, we want to create something in the world that wasn't there before. That's why we shoot. That's why we edit. That's why we deal with our clients. That's why we treat each other with kindness. That's why we have spouses and families. We want to create things that weren't in this world before. So, in your dealings with people this week, I'd like to challenge you to choose goodness. As always, don't forget that you are loved. You are worthy. You, my dear friend, are valuable. And the world needs your lens. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you stay safe. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I'll see you back here for the next video. Bye, everybody.